So here's a question we got via YouTube, and it reads, what kind of advice would you give someone who is starting out, who wants to do what you do for a living, but is now doing it in the spare room with very little to no clientele? Where would someone find leads to clients, and how do you approach finding new clients? Okay, now, the thing with this is that it's very difficult to start from day one, right? So it's getting that first client, getting that second, third, fourth. Once the ball starts rolling, it will continuously roll until you put a blockade through some way of messing things up. It will continuously roll. How to get it to roll to start off with, that's the tricky bit, because like, we used to work with various different studios, and the story goes that we were working with these studios, and they weren't ready. This was 10, 12 years ago. They weren't ready to make a transition from a door, people coming in through the door, working in the studio, to get their business online. They weren't ready for that, and they didn't see that as the way the industry was going. They thought that, you know, people were still going to walk through the door. And I'll tell you now, these companies, the ones that I used to work with, they're not there anymore. Their studios are shut. And this was about 3 years after I left, and maybe less than that actually. And it was partly down to online business. And studios putting themselves online just took all the work from them. Because the difference is that we're able to work with worldwide with people all over the world. All they need is an internet connection to get their files to us. We can then work on their files and send it back. So we can work with everybody all around the world. But these studios, they could only work with people who are local or willing to drive to them or visit them. So ultimately they failed. And that's why I left those companies, because I knew what I wanted to do, and I wanted to get a business to go online, and I wanted my business to go online. So we created, me and my cousin Nick, who's the master engineer here, we created Audio Animals, and we took it online, and we took it to this online studio, and it was a huge success. Pretty much from the get-go, it really took off, and it was a combination of everything. There was, you know, our work ethic, the way we worked, what we did, the way we promoted, the way we were on socials, the name, everything about it just was successful. It was really, really good. It was a great time getting that ball rolling. But it is very, very, very difficult to get that ball rolling. I mean, really difficult. The thing is now, for me, right, now, if I wanted to land a client, right, so say I had, let's say I had a big label come to me, you know, I needed to wow them. I needed to kind of impress them into, you know, you want to work with us. I can go, you know, this is our Dolby Atmos studio. Next door, we have our analog mastering studio. It's one of the world's best analog mastering chains. It has an Unfairchild. It has an Alpha compressor, two of the best compressors in the world. You know, then we have a Dolby Atmos studio, which has an Avid S4 and a state-of-the-art, one of the best Dolby Atmos studios you will ever hear. Our client list is our previous projects. Look at all of our testimonials. All these people have said how amazing it is, and you know, it's so easy to sell because it sells itself. And the reason it sells itself is because we've done 10 years of this. We've done 10 years of building this brand. To go back 10 years, we had no clients, we had no testimonials, we had equipment, we had all right set up, but it was nowhere near what we got at the moment. So what selling for us now is relatively simple, but back then was really hard. And there was two ways that we kind of went about it. We were really, 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 I mean, really cheap. I will use the word cheap rather than affordable. And the reason we did that was because we basically had options. We could either, you know, compete with everybody and run risks of not being able to pick up the clients, or we could work 10 times harder, be cheaper than everyone else, work 10 times harder, pick up all the clientele, and then gradually grow and increase prices as our business develops. And that's the route that we took, and it was a really successful route. What I'm not saying here is don't start your business and start going, right, okay, I can't pick clients up at £40 a master or £50 a master. Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to charge £5 a master, or I'm going to charge £10 a master, and I'm going to pick all these clients up at £10 a master, because what you will get is you will get just a certain type of person that doesn't necessarily want good quality mastering. But if they don't want to spend more than £10, they're not kind of interested in good quality mastering. You are now putting yourself in the ballpark of the likes of LANDR, eMaster, the really bad mastering kind of these AI services. You're putting yourself into their brackets. It's tricky, because you want to price yourself. Look, here's the thing: is for £40, for instance, you can get a stereo analog master next door with us, through one of the best analog mastering chains in the world, with Nick, who I consider as one of the best mastering engineers in the world. He blows the mastering engineers that I've heard and worked with out the water every single time. It's ridiculous. And it's partly down to the equipment we use and the knowledge and all that sort of stuff. But that's who you're competing with at a £40 price range. You know, if you've got a laptop and a pair of speakers, you know, how can you compete with someone like Nick? It's very difficult to compete with someone like Nick who's got 20 odd thousand clients and best mastering gear in the world, best ears for mastering. It's very difficult to compete with, and I would feel if I was to compete with that. And I remember we were competing with people who were well established when we was back 10 years ago. We were competing, and I remember one of them. He's still about, and I speak to him every now and then. But he phoned me up. He was another mastering engineer, well-established mastering engineer for a number of years. He phoned me up, and he was just like, "Paul, how are you doing this? How are you doing this? I can't understand how you're doing this. How are you taking every client? How have you got so many clients?" And I was just like, "Are you seriously phoning me up, asking me how I'm doing this? What, so I can tell you and then you do the same?" It's like that's not how it works, mate. And he's still about. He's still working. Doesn't seem to be doing too much, but. Had I told him what we were doing, and then, it wasn't necessarily a secret. It was just a formula that we had that worked, and it was more a case of we had such a good online presence, and like these videos, I do these videos. I get nothing out of them, but I sit here for 10 minutes chatting about stuff, and it's nice to talk. But ultimately, what I am actually doing here is I'm creating a relationship between me and you. We're creating a relationship by me talking to you and telling you stuff, and I'm giving you lots of free information. But what that is ultimately doing is it's creating that relationship between us. And then next time when it comes to mastering or mixing, you go, "Well, who shall I get to mix my track?" "Oh, that Paul, he seems like a nice guy. I feel like I really know him because I've watched these videos." So there's no, look, people don't do something for free. They don't do something for free without gaining something. In business, that is what it is. I must spend maybe, I get home, I've got to edit this video, and then I've got to upload it to YouTube, then I've got to do all the other content, and the video might take me probably an hour to put together, do everything that needs to be done for it. So there's an hour's worth of work in that, but ultimately it will generate work, and it's all the extracurricular stuff that you do on top of your business. So it's not just about the doing the work. The work, obviously, the work gets the money in. The work makes the money, rather. Doing the extracurricular stuff, like writing the articles, doing the videos, doing all the little extra things, that's what brings the work in. So maybe, you know, start with things like that to get the ball rolling, to get the first client. Start creating a relationship with potential clients, because it's not good enough for you right now as someone that's working out of a basement or you know, a spare room, whatever it is. It's not good enough to just kind of think that you can just walk up to someone and go, hey, I'll mix your track for, I don't know, I'll mix your track for 150 quid. And they'll turn around to you and go, well, but Paul, he'll mix my track for 150 quid in Dolby Atmos on an Avid S4 and then master it for £100,000 analog mastering chain. And you kind of go, well, I can't compete with that. So the only way you can compete with that is to go, well, I'll do it for 75. And then the client goes, well, but if you'll do it for 75, it's not going to be as good. I don't mind paying 150. I'm happy to pay that, but I want to pay that to get the best quality for that price. It's very difficult. I would not like to, actually, do you know what? I tell a lie. I would love to go back to then, I'd still like to keep my business where I'm at now, but I'd love to have another business and go back to having that kind of challenge to pick up the first client and build that business. Because my business now, it's highly successful, and we've got clients left, right, and centre, so that we don't have to necessarily go searching, things like that. And I did enjoy that aspect of it. I liked going to, like, you know, meetings and things like that, and trying to win clients and stuff, which we don't necessarily need to have to do anymore. But yeah, it's an enjoyable thing. And that's one thing I will say to end this video, right, is enjoy what you're doing, because don't ever see the business aspect of it as part of the job. That's the fun part. For me, that's the fun part anyways. But if you can find that the fun part being the job, the actual getting the money in, and then the actual mixing of it not being technically the fun part, but if the building of the business and getting the work in becomes the fun part of it, then you'll make a really good success of things, because you'll do so much for your business, extracurricular stuff. And believe me, it's really, really, really good fun sitting, watching analytics and things like that, watching people come into the website, watching people spend money, doing, you know, watching PayPal payments come through, and creating adverts and things like that. And it's really, really good fun to do, and really good fun to kind of be involved with. I love that aspect of it. You know, I believe me, I love doing this. This is where my heart is. But the business thing is what I love doing as well. And that's what's really good, is if you can get that so that you really enjoy what you're doing in terms of business, then you'll make a success of it, because you'll do so much more for yourself. So yeah, I guess that is my my recommendations on how to get that ball rolling, how to get that first client, how to go about kind of progressing in the music industry, and trying to pick up clients, and yeah, I mean, as well, is the guy who obviously made this comment will watch this and will know, will get to the end, hopefully, of this video. I would love it if you contacted me in 2 years, a year, and just said, Paul, what you told me there and then really worked, and I've now made a big success of things, and thank you. And that would please me more than a lot of things. But I love a good success story, especially when I've helped someone to be successful. Just don't get too big and steal my clients.